additions you've had this year? Obviously, you guys have done really well in the portal. What are some of the key areas that you feel will see impact from some of the new guys this fall?
Yeah, I would say we added 20 new guys, so in the portal, top 15 class. Probably the biggest area that sticks out to me is defensive line. Was a definite focus for us. Felt like that was a huge need to address, and so really excited about that group of guys. Andre Carter kind of is the top of the list. Philip Leedy's another one. Marcus Burris, Linnell Carr, those guys. And Anthony Jones most recently. So just really had a chance to add some guys that give us more mass. Robbie Harrison's another one we just added here most recently. 330 plus pound guy, and just needed to be able to shore that up. It's kind of across the board if you think about it. You got every position pretty much. We got two old linemen we've added. We got a quarterback that we excited about. We got a running back we're really excited about. Two receivers that I think are special. Keith just got here today actually, and EJ's been here with us throughout the spring. Christian, the running back as well, as I already mentioned him. Talented guy. Noah's brought him from TCU, and then Max has already been here with us from UMass. And so, Taven is also a guy that, very, very talented player. So you've talked to address every position. We have Bradley Archer at tight end, so every position we added a guy on offense, defensively, a linebacker as well. Josh is actually here with us today, Josh Rudolph, and Jacob Farrar, I think is going to be an impact guy right away, and really like our secondary that we added. Kobe Minor is a guy that sticks out to me from the spring, and Jameer Johnson as well. Those two corners really give us a chance, and Nick Toomer is just joining us here this week, and really excited about our safeties that we added as well. So once again, all positions were affected. There's not a position outside of specialists that we didn't address, and so there's kind of a broad use of that opportunity. And so I'm excited. I like the guys. I think that the majority of them have already been with us for the whole spring, and so but these next 2 months are going to be big, and we had everybody come back this past weekend. So excited about the next 2 months.
Post spring practice, have you had any time to look at more film and get any closer to this decision on quarterback?
Haven't moved the needle there on that one. Been pretty clear as far as the process we're going to go through with that. We need 2 more months this summer, and then obviously fall camp will really be the deciding factor. Once we get into, we call them 3 preseason games. The first 2 are full pads. The third one's is really more of a mock game. So we'll make a decision. I'm assuming after the second scrimmage, that would be the progression. I would assume that we'll stick with that. I just think that gives us a full gamut. We got 2 guys, with Brendan and Taven, both young but talented, and really like what I've seen from those guys. And I'm anxious to see it because the summer shows leadership. It's a big part of that. How do they handle getting the guys together? We can only do so much with our guys, and they have to do a lot more together. So I'm anxious to see that role kind of come to fruition, see how the guys respond and how the guys handle that. So that's it's obviously a very, very important position. It is the position that's going to drive a lot of our success in 2023.
Talking about transfers, is there any desire to add, even for depth, another scholarship quarterback, or do you feel like you're good where you are?
Yeah, we looked into some of those options. It's a unique dynamic with the age of that group there, so we just never really found the right combination for that. So I would be surprised if we did add that at this point. Obviously, Dexter's still on the mend, and so he is ahead of schedule. That doesn't mean he's going to be ready for the start of the season by any means, but he will not be. But at the same time, he will eventually be. So that gives you some of that there. But at the same time, it was challenging to be able to really find that spot. We talked about it, and I had interest in that as well. Just more of an insurance policy kind of a thing. But it's not like the NFL where you just get a guy off the wire. It's got to be a guy that fits and wants to be in that role and understands that whole situation. So, and with having as young guys as we have, we really felt like those guys that are there are really going to be, that's where our starters are going to come from. So, but do have a couple spots left, and we'll see how those play themselves out here. But just trying to be judicious with those spots.
Tom, you mentioned it a little bit about how the summer has changed for the players. Not too long ago, the roster was frozen, and they got a chance to kind of build chemistry. Now that you're adding pieces in the middle of the summer, how does that change? And I know your contact is limited, but how does it change for the players in terms of building that kind of cohesion that
Well, I would say, one of our big goals for these next 2 months is building connection on our team, and so we'll have a majority of our guys are going to be here by next Monday. We will have a few more guys that will come in a month, not maybe 2 or 3. So to your point, I think it even adds to the value of what we do over the summer. We do have OTAs now. We call them that. That's just the word we use for them, but we'll have several of those with our own staff. We're allowed to do that now, so those become really, really important. We actually do a whole reinstall for both sides of the ball starting on Tuesday next week, and so those guys being a part of that's very, very important. And then they'll have some that'll come in July as well. So it's just different. I mean, it's just really the best word to use. There's a lot of changes. You have to adapt, and I think it's also caused us to have a more simplistic approach schematically as well. When you're going to add some pieces, obviously those guys need time to develop. You don't have the whole luxury of being here all spring long, and so we got to get guys ready to play that come here this summer. So that's where you better have a system where the guys can pick it up and then have adjustments that are going to allow them to be able to be effective, in the middle of the game or late in the game when those guys could be playing. So definitely everything is different now. We just got to make adjustments.
Coach, on the defensive side, you have a lot of battles for starting roles and playing time this year. How have you seen that kind of change the dynamics in the spring and the culture versus years past where there weren't that many openings?
You're right. I think it's. I like it. I think it's. It can be challenging in some ways, but also refreshing in others because you've got. There's very, very. When you talk about a depth chart being set in stone, it's not that way at all. And I think you've identified it pretty accurately. And so, but I like that because now you got a whole bunch of guys that are. There's an urgency that's created by more guys because there are spots up for competition, and I can honestly say that's pretty much across the board. So that excites me as the coach. But I think it's all the more critical that you get guys that fit with you, guys that fit the culture, guys that fit what you're trying to build, because this is an important year for us. And obviously the guys that were here understand that. And you got new guys that came here for a purpose. They came here to play, And so I feel like that I love the combination of the two. I think we got a good balance of that. We got a really hungry football team. We got a lot of guys that are trying to prove themselves, and that's a very infectious mindset and attitude that you get. I think it's it creates a lot of intensity during the workouts and during all the things we're doing this summer. And honestly, I think it's a big reason why we've had such a great buy-in because everybody, they know if they don't do the little things right, they're not going to get that opportunity to be that person to play the way they want to play. So I think competition makes all of us better. I think we all understand that, and I think we're seeing it lived out on this current football team.
You mentioned Dexter being ahead of schedule. I guess what is the likelihood that he's able to suit up this season? I think at first you said it was going to be a full year thing.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be a full year, and there's no way to predict all these. I get that, but I think that as everything has kind of played itself out, it's kind of gone from probably going to be out the whole season to hey, you might be now where he can be ready later in the season. Now it's like maybe halfway in the season. So I think that's optimistic without question. I don't control any of that, but he's such a great worker, and he's so disciplined to the process. That doesn't surprise me, especially once we found out that maybe there weren't quite as many things that they thought in the first place when the initial injury occurred. So, but still more extensive than a typical ACL. So not going to be easy to come back from, but he's just been, like I say, so disciplined to the process of rehabbing that if he can come back a little earlier, I think he's the right guy to do that. So we'll see. We'll never rush it. It's obviously going to be in his best interest. Will be what we do for him, but he'll be anxious to be getting out there for sure. But right now we're trying to get him to the halfway point and see if he can be ready to go at that point.
Clarification. Was it his ACL or was there more?
It was the ACL and more, yes. And so, but it just wasn't quite as, it was kind of initially described to me as the Teddy Bridgewater injury. That's what was initially explained to me, which is pretty extensive, So it kind of got downgraded from that, but more than just your typical ACL. So he did have the ACL, yes, and then some other ligaments as well. So, but I think a little cleaner than they thought. They don't really know until they get in there. So that's kind of created the optimism that we might be able to have a little bit less of a timetable, but it still be, like mid-season would probably be the optimistic goal.
Okay, we're going to let Coach go get something to eat. Coach, thank you
Okay,
so much again.
great. Thank you guys.